The alien child introduced me to the Empress, expanded, ***. I first saw her in the market, not because she drew attention, though she did, but because I felt it, a presence. Humans aren't normally noticed by beings from beyond the stars. Yet somehow, she knew I was watching. Her hair shimmered silver under the sunlight, almost like moonlight trapped in strands. Her eyes glowed faintly, the kind of luminescence that shouldn't exist on Earth. And when she looked at me, it was like she could see my choices, my habits, even the small insecurities I tried to hide from myself. "Human," she said, standing before me as though she had materialized from thin air. Her voice was calm, with a rhythm that made words sound like statements of law rather than conversation. I don't know you," I said, instinctively glancing around for parents or guardians. "I'm alone," she replied. "You will come with me. Now." I blinked. You want me to leave my life behind and follow a stranger child?" "Yes," she said plainly. "I am to introduce you to my mother." I laughed nervously. "Sure, because that's a completely normal thing. A child, an alien child, asking a human to meet her mother, especially an alien mother." Her lip curled slightly, almost a smirk. "My mother is not just a parent. She is the Empress, and she has requested your presence." We left the city unnoticed. I don't know why. Perhaps the energy she carried made people subconsciously avoid our path. The street lights flickered faintly as if acknowledging her presence. Traffic lights blinked past. The occasional stray dog barked, but nothing obstructed our passage. The child, whose name I learned was Lyra, moved with a certainty that made me feel like I was walking beside an entity centuries older than the universe. She didn't speak unless necessary. Her steps measured, her hands clasped behind her back. Occasionally, her gaze flicked to mine, observing reactions and emotions I didn't even realize I was broadcasting. We left the familiar roads behind, heading toward a remote clearing outside the city. At the center hovered a sphere. My first thought was a spacecraft, yet its surface shimmered like liquid mercury, reflecting the sunlight in fractured rays. It was massive, far larger than I could have imagined, and radiated an energy I could feel through the soles of my shoes. "This is my transport," Lyra said simply. "Transport? You mean a spaceship?" "Correct." Before I could protest, the sphere's surface shifted, opening like a flower blooming in slow motion. Light spilled outward, bathing the clearing in silver radiance. Lyra led me inside without hesitation. The interior was vast, far larger than the exterior suggested. Walls of polished metal curved overhead seamlessly, and panels glowed faintly, reacting to our presence. The air hummed with energy, subtle enough to feel alive but not overwhelming. Other beings moved in the background, tall, elegant, with elongated limbs and metallic sheen to their skin. Some carried devices I didn't recognize. Others monitored holographic projections of star systems. The air was filled with soft pulses of light, subtle woes, and the hum of an intelligence far beyond my comprehension. "Everyone here knows I'm bringing you," Lyra said. "They are waiting for our arrival." I glanced at her. "You mean, they're all aware I'm coming to meet your mother? And none of them are panicking?" "They understand protocol," she said matter-of-factly. We entered a central chamber. A massive dome of light curved overhead, and at its center, seated upon a throne that seemed carved from pure starlight, was a mother, the Empress. She was magnificent, radiant without being ostentatious. Her presence alone commanded attention, yet there was a calmness that contrasted the overwhelming power she radiated. Her eyes glimmered with intelligence and authority, her hair cascading like liquid silver over her shoulders. Robes of shifting luminescent patterns flowed around her, like constellations in motion, their patterns responding subtly to our movement. "You have arrived," she said, her voice deep yet melodic, carrying over the chamber without amplification. "You are the human Lyra brought." I nodded, suddenly feeling unbearably small. "You may approach," she continued. Each step I took felt heavy with expectation. My senses were assaulted by the grandeur of the chamber, the alien elegance, and the subtle energy that seemed to pulse through the floor. Every instinct screamed that I should flee, yet I was tethered by curiosity, by necessity, and by Lyra's unwavering gaze. The Empress's eyes fixed on me. Not examination. Evaluation. Every detail of me, the way I carried myself, the hesitation in my step, the uncertainty in my gaze, was noted. You are far from your world, she stated. Yes, Your Excellency, I replied, my voice trembling despite my best effort. And yet, you came willingly, she continued. This is not compliance. This is choice. I swallowed. I didn't know I had a choice. Her lips curved slightly, imperceptibly. Choice is often only apparent to those who perceive risk. You perceive risk. I nodded, unsure what else to say. Lyra tells me you are to serve as an intermediary, the Empress said, between my people and yours. I don't know if I'm qualified for that. I admitted. Qualification is less important than courage and honesty, she replied. Her words were simple, but they carried a weight that threatened to crush me under their gravity. You are a remarkable child, she continued, turning her gaze to Lyra. Yet your insight reveals truths even adults conceal. Bring humans who act without fear into understanding, and you illuminate paths previously unseen. Lyra nodded once. The Empress turned back to me. Tell me, human, what do you perceive of my child? She is extraordinary, I said cautiously. Intelligent, focused, brave, and wise beyond her years. Yes, the Empress said softly. And what do you feel toward her? I hesitated. I feel a sense of responsibility, and awe. Her gaze sharpened, though it did not judge. Good. You are honest. The chamber trembled faintly, almost imperceptibly, and my stomach dropped. You understand the stakes of your position? She asked. I think so, I replied. You have power over planets, fleets, civilizations, and yet you've invited me here as a liaison. Yes, she said, voice unwavering. You are now part of a covenant. The safety of my child, the well-being of your species, and the trust we place in you are now intertwined. I felt the enormity of her words, the weight of centuries of rule and judgment pressed down. I don't know if I can do it. You can, she said, almost tenderly. Humans have a unique courage. They act despite uncertainty, not because of it. That is why Lyra brought you. I swallowed hard, and if I fail, then consequences will be exacting. But even in failure, truth remains valuable. You may stumble, but your honesty cannot be taken from you. I nodded. A silence filled the room, but it was not oppressive. It was expectant, observant, alive. Lyra, the Empress said, bring him closer. Let him witness more of our world. Let him understand why humans matter. The child led me forward, through a series of corridors that twisted and curved in ways that made my sense of orientation questionable. Panels of light displayed star maps, data streams, holographic simulations of planetary systems, and fleets in motion. I tried to absorb it all, realizing I was witnessing strategy, history, and culture all at once. This is incredible, I muttered. It is reality, Lyra said simply. And dangerous, I added. Yes, said the Empress's voice from somewhere ahead, calm yet echoing, but only when perceived without understanding. Finally, we arrived at a vast observation deck. The planet below glowed, a sapphire and emerald jewel hanging in darkness. Massive vessels hovered in orbit, organized, precise, alive. The fleet waits my command, the Empress said softly. And now, so do you. I stayed, overwhelmed. I'm just one person. She smiled faintly. One person can change entire systems if they act with courage and clarity. That is why you were chosen. Lyra stepped beside me, small hand resting briefly on mine. They can hurt you if you falter, she said. I know, I admitted. But they will not, she whispered, because you speak without fear. For the first time, I felt the weight shift, not pressing down, but lifting me, steadying me. The Empress extended her hand, not threatening, not regal, but welcoming. You will learn quickly. You will adapt, and you will understand what it means to be trusted by those far beyond your world. I hesitated, then reached out. The connection was instantaneous, a pulse of energy, awareness, and understanding that transcended language. I felt myself tethered to her people, to Lyra, to a civilization beyond imagination. Welcome, the Emperor said, to a larger universe than you ever imagined. And remember, trust begins with honesty. Courage begins with speaking without fear. I nodded, finally understanding the gift and the responsibility I had been given. From that moment, nothing would ever be the same. My life on Earth, my human limitations, my fears, they all felt small in the face of what I had been invited into. And standing there, beside the alien child and the Empress herself, I realized that my journey had only just begun. The stars beyond the observation deck stretched infinitely, but somehow I felt grounded, because now I was part of something larger, something magnificent, and I would face it with honesty, courage, and the knowledge that even one human could matter in the vastness of the galaxy.